That's
Thank you.
great. Thank you. That we really appreciate everything you've said today. And Kader, take it away.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that. Maybe many of uh, people here may not know. So I kind of mentioned before, it is a self-governed, organized community by the volunteers, right? We don't have any full-time employees. The complete show is run by the volunteers, and I'm one of them, right? And the way that we have structured ourselves is we have our own legal team, finance team, marketing team, program team, strategic advisor team. And what Devyansh was referring was, if you are a volunteer part of the Testoper and want to give back, you get exposure to all these different things in addition to being a learner and an attendee, and gaining the technical skills. That's what he really mentioned. And thanks a lot, Devyansh, for that. Had you not told that, I probably would have not mentioned it in today's session. That's probably an invite for every one of you to join our growing volunteer community and learn together. Our vision is, if you wanted to do some programs, we wanted volunteer to come and propose, these are all the different things I wanted to teach the community. And we want volunteers to come and say, these are all the different things that I wanted to learn from the community and benefit from each other, both from the point of view of future skills, as well as the innovation, plus the career growth, intrapreneurship, and entrepreneurship growth. Thanks a lot, Devyansh. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Moving on, Adarsh,
Excellent.
take it away.
So, first of all, thank you so much to Ashik for that fantastic session. But we have one more fantastic speaker with us. We have Anjali joining us from Tech Mahindra. She's the VP and Head of America's Digital Assurance Services. She's going to give us a talk about AI investment trends in connected industries. Anjali, thank you so much for making this time. We really understand, your time is valuable, and the time that you're spending with us in this community really means a lot. So, thank you. Please take it away. Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Adarsh. Thanks, Kader. And thank you, everyone, for this opportunity and being here on Saturday morning and listening to us and joining this this whole session. I'll kind of start with a little bit of introduction about myself and how I got associated with Testoper community and what excited me to be here. I head as others said, I head digital assurance practice for Tech Mahindra for America's region that covers the US, LATAM, and Canada. And have been with the same company. This is my 22nd year in Tech Mahindra. Like that whole thing about continuous learning. And I want to share my personal experience. When I started in this organization in Tech Mahindra, I started as a entry-level trainee programmer. ELTP is what they call. They picked me up from an engineering college back in India, put me through some training, some 3-4 months training, which was pretty standard in the SI industry at that time. I went through that. I got into that time when I joined. Y2K was kind of hot, and some projects, some development projects, I kept moving on. Long story short, by the end of 2011, 2012, I was doing program management, heading a team of close to, as in SI industry, we have large programs, 500 plus people. I had a team working for a hedge fund customer at that time, close to 500 people spread across 3 or 4 geolocations. And that was the time when I said that, okay, have done enough on the services delivery side, need to do something different. Spoke with my bosses and they said that, oh, we are starting this at that time. So this digital assurance practice itself for Tech Mahindra has evolved over years. So at that time, it was more around everything around quality assurance automation was the core of the practice. And they said that, oh, we want to establish that in America's region. Why don't you take up that role? Why don't you get started there? Then 2012, I was in US, started with New York, and then 2013, I was in Dallas. As I joined the practice kept evolving. So we kept adding, like we added DevOps automation to that. Then we added something that we call digital foundations, and digital foundations is nothing but all the wave 2 technologies, as they call them in Tech Mahindra, which is data analytics, AI, and RPA. These are the 3 core technologies. So the whole idea of digital assurance became that within our customers across industry vertical, how can we propagate the practices around digital foundations, which are the wave 2 technologies, DevOps automation, and quality engineering automation, and that part is still very much.
Did we lose Anjali?
Yes, I think we did.
I think so.
Yeah,
Network
it's
is right.
just network, I guess.
There was a storm in Dallas. I think you still have that effect there.
Is Anjali still based out of Dallas?
Yeah, she is.
Okay.
Maybe she is continuing to talk, I guess. She's not.
So while we wait, I'm going to take a moment and read out all of these really interesting messages here in the chat. Ashik has left us his LinkedIn URL, so anybody interested, click on it, go right there and connect with him. I can see that Anjali is trying to get back, so hopefully we'll have her back soon. And in the meanwhile, there's a lot of other information here, again from Ashik, on anyone looking to prototype industrial AI.
Hi guys, sorry, am I audible back?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Suddenly it was, I got disconnected. Then when I logged in back, my video was on, but audio was not getting switched on. So I'm so sorry. So yeah, I'll just try to keep it now short because I have already
We can
lost a
hear
couple
you,
of
but we
minutes.
cannot see you, Anjali.
We can see her. I can see her.
You can?
Yeah.
So it seems
I can see my video is on. Kadir?
some
I
of
can
us
see it.
can see you and some of us can't. So I can't see you, but I've already seen your beautiful face, so I'm ready to listen to what you have to say to us. Go on, Anjali.
Okay. So yeah, so again, so as the practice evolved, I had to evolve myself. I had to keep learning, and I would definitely say that continuous learning is so much part of this, specifically the IT industry, and all of us who are part of this industry know it. Hard way, easy way, all that. But the bottom line is, for me, it was very important in the last 7 to 8 years to take responsibility, take ownership of my career path, my career track. I knew that if I have to kind of continue growing, I need to learn all these wave 2 technologies. I need to understand data analytics. I need to understand RPA. I need to understand AI and machine learning. I did a lot of self-learning, lot of work that I would say was difficult at times. Right now, in fact, I'm in the process, and I told that to Kadir. Right now, I'm in the process of getting a postgraduate diploma from UT Austin McComm School of Business in AI for Leaders. While I kind of did a lot of self-learning on some of the open platforms for AI, machine learning, and things like that, because that is an area which is going to be the focus in the IT industry for next 5 to 6 years. So the reason I got associated with this community is that I understand the importance of continuous learning, self-learning, being able to help others who are on that journey, on that path, and being part of a community that promotes that kind of thinking, or that promotes that kind of energy and motivation in individuals, that take charge, guys, make sure that you keep learning and you keep abreast with all the upcoming technologies. I think that was the reason I got associated here. So just want to make sure, am I still audible, and is that correct? Because
Yes, you are audible. And
Okay, so I'll share my slide very quickly here, and I'll not take more than 10 minutes. Trust me, I'll be quick. There has been lot that has been covered here by Marin and by Ashik. So I'll definitely try not to repeat a lot of the stuff that has been said already. Just let me know if you are able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay. The topic that I wanted to cover today was AI investment trends and select use cases. I'll start with a very quick snapshot, and Kadir, do let me know if my slide is moving and you can see the next slide.
Yes, we
Kadir,
can.
you're on mute. Yeah, we can see Anjali.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's not in the presentation view. If you want to put it in the presentation view as well, should be good.
Okay, let me do that. Let me do that. Is it
Yeah.
better?
Yeah.
Okay. So talking about the investment trend, this is some data. This is from the Refinitiv database, and basically the biggest, I would say, what we see in this data is US and China, United States and China are still the leading markets. In fact, we got as part of our Tech Mahindra relationship with Forrester, we got some data very recently, and it seems now in 2020, China has again beefed up its investments on AI. So US and China are leading the global market when it comes to investing in the AI technologies. Obviously, the emerging markets or developing nations, India is actually putting in a lot of investments on AI. But overall, we are all of us who are in the North America market, and I somehow obviously Canada is part of North America, but United States, North and this region, there is a lot of investment that is flowing in the AI and machine learning, and that makes very important for all of us in the technology industry. Somewhere or the other, our roles, we will be touching machine learning, data analytics, artificial intelligence. It will be very difficult to stay away from this technology. Now, funding by category. This is very interesting. See, while there is lot of advanced AI technology around neural networks, around NLP, and around a lot of computer vision platforms and things like that, still the largest AI funding by category is getting into machine learning, predictive analytics type of applications, which is, I would say, again, specifically somebody who's just getting started in the AI space. That is an area where still a lot of organizations are putting in money, are putting in efforts, and building supervised learning based predictive analytics machine learning systems. So and I'm not saying that we have to limit ourselves to what we learn and what we understand, but definitely, and that's where I started. When I started 5.5 years back, understanding the whole data analytics, machine learning, and AI space, the first thing I started with a lot of this predictive analytics and supervised learning based use cases, and we tried implementing a solution that we call e-analytics, which is a machine learning based predictive analytics solution. So that's a very good place to get started, and then obviously AI is we all know it is limitless. There are still advancements happening, and they will continue to happen over the next 10 years. But where to put our energy so that at least as a IT industry participant, I can get started or I can get engaged in initiatives, having understanding of supervised learning based machine learning, predictive analytics application, that's a good starting point. Now, some of the trends or key trends, I'll not read everything, but definitely both developed and emerging markets. So be it US or be it emerging markets like India and other areas, they are aggressively investing in AI technologies. Data is growing multifold. We all know that the reason the whole democratization of AI came in place was because of the huge growth in terms of data as well as the advancement in the computing power, which has definitely so there used to be a time when machine learning AI, there used to be a lot of limitations in terms of, oh, how will I get that kind of compute power? Do I have that kind of data storage? But those type of limitations are being kind of reduced, and the ability to visualize data, large data sets, is actually increased, and that is giving rise to AI use cases where just because I have data, teams and organizations are thinking that how they can how they can actually implement some of the AI use cases because they have that kind of data. So one example I'd like to share, which I read recently, that in last 2.5 to 3 years, Tesla has collected 780 million miles of connected cars data. Just imagine the volume of data and the limitless possibilities of what they can do with that kind of data. And the last point that I would like to highlight, that in 2019 only, US raised close to 8 billion just in the startup funding in Silicon Valley only, for AI-based organizations. So definitely a space to be, definitely an area where we want to all learn and engage and understand what is happening in this space. Now, very quickly, when I wanted to talk about the investment trends in the AI industry, there is so much that is available all across, like so much material, so many use cases. The thing that I thought that what is best for me to look at, we have as Tech Mahindra being a SI, we have close to 980 customer base. And the best way to look at what is happening or what are the trends or where the industry is investing is also to look at our own customer base and share some of the use cases where we are working, where our teams are working, where my team is getting engaged into the digital foundations or the quality engineering type of work on certain systems which are driven by AI. So that is how I have, and obviously we cut across so many industries, so many verticals. So I picked up only 3 industry verticals which I believe are at the cutting edge of investing into AI, and what are the use cases that we are seeing most commonly. In the interest of time, I'm bringing up everything together. Some of our customers in the healthcare and pharma industry, the largest use cases that we are seeing and the investments that we are seeing, some of our medical device customers are investing heavily in the remote patient health monitoring system. So AI driven, predictive analytics driven, preventive health monitoring. So a very quick example would be so many individuals have pacemakers, and there is data that can get collected from those type of devices to predict a incident or a health incident that can occur in future, which can cause lot of obviously threat to the human life as well as insurance expense and load on the healthcare system. So how can we utilize that data for preventive health monitoring? So that is an area. There are at least 3 of our large customers. One of our very large customers started this along with us back in 2016, and we still work with them in enhancing that particular use case for some of their diabetes monitoring and heart monitoring systems. Medical imaging and diagnostic, I'm sure that is known to everybody. I'll not spend too much time, but utilizing data from the past images to kind of screen or early screening of potential diseases or potential issues like anything or everything from smallest things to cancer and things like that. So that medical imaging and diagnostic, one of our very large med devices customer, again we are working very closely with them in that particular use case. Predictive recommendation for pharma supply chain, very interesting use case. I'm sure all of us know there are certain medicines for which the demand suddenly goes high in certain seasons, right? Very common example is flu. There is that flu season, and then suddenly there is huge demand of a certain type of medicine. How can the whole supply chain, pharma supply chain, can deal with and get into more AI driven predictive type of supply chain, just in time supply chain and things like that. So one of our pharma customers, we are working on this use case. We know in fact that customer is behind in this whole thing, because a lot of the competition has already built very sophisticated AI driven supply chain, pharma supply chain systems. uh, Drug discovery. In fact, Tech Mahindra's own Makers Lab, we are working with some of the large drug manufacturers in India on utilizing neural networks for molecular structure analysis for better drug discovery. So that is another interesting use case that healthcare and pharma industry is utilizing. Moving on, automotive manufacturing, again, the manufacturing side, Ashik touched upon a lot of IoT, edge computing, and those kind of use cases. I'll not spend too much time. Predictive maintenance, definitely, I'm sure that is an area for everybody to explore. One of the use case that we developed back in 2016, 2017 was one of our aircraft manufacturing customer, where they wanted to utilize the in-air health monitoring data for 35 different mechanical aspects and from the aircraft, so that when the aircraft lands at the airport, if there is a maintenance team needed, that can be ready, rather than, so many of us would have experienced this. I'm sure all of us who travel heavily, that the aircraft lands and then you are ready to board, and then you get to hear that, oh, there is a maintenance issue and we are calling the team, and then that team takes an hour, then the team comes and checks and says that, oh, by the way, now this is to be changed, this is another 2 hours. So how can that predictive maintenance happen, so that when the aircraft lands at the airport, the team is ready, they know probably what is the issue, they have the plan of action, and the turnaround time of the maintenance issue can be reduced. So this was a use case that we developed in 2016, 2017, way back, like 4 or 5 years back, for one of our aircraft customers. And I'm sure there are a lot of such use cases that are being worked upon in the industry. Autonomous vehicles, I don't have to talk about that. I'm sure all of us are very much aware. Generative design, again, we have a very large engineering services team that uses a lot of CAD systems, computer aided design systems. And generative design is an area which is picking up heavily, where there is a huge set of database of good designs for different kind of products. And then when a new product design specification is to be built based on the product specification, and from that huge set of database of various designs, the CAD system can give the first level of design on its own, without any individual working on it starting from scratch. And then obviously from that point it can, a intelligent human can take over and tweak it and make it more effective and things like that. But that is, again, anyone who's in CAD space or that generative design use case. We have so many customers who are our engineering services customers who are using that use case, and they are actually trying to utilize it very effectively. And yield enhancement, I'm sure, again, anybody associated with the manufacturing industry understands that there is a huge cost of defective products being generated in your shop floor. And if that can be prevented by utilizing the real-time data for quick RCA and auto healing and auto correcting the process to reduce the generation of defective products, that is another use case which this industry is heavily using. So investments are flowing in all these use cases. Coming back to banking and financial services, very quickly, risk, regulatory compliance. All of us know KYC, AML. There are so many different regulations and like that SEC and various regulatory bodies put on the financial services institutions. And if you miss any of that regulation, the implications and the financial risk is huge. There can be huge penalties, huge business risk, financial risk, reputation risk. A lot of our financial services customers are utilizing the past data, the analytics to reduce the occurrence of non-compliance. So which is a very interesting use case again in financial services industry. Creditworthiness, I'm sure we all know, mortgages, loans, defaulters is a big problem for any financial institution. How can we reduce defaulters? How can we have intelligent systems that can flag if a person is coming to my institution asking for a mortgage? How do I know that there is a high probability of this individual defaulting, so there is no creditworthiness? All that, again, past data, analytics, behavior analysis, sentiment analysis, all those type of things are going into that investment on the creditworthiness use case. In the essence of time, proactive cybersecurity threat monitoring, I'm sure everybody understands that cybersecurity threats can be utilized, data can be utilized, artificial intelligence to proactively prevent cybersecurity attacks and things like that. In the essence of time, I'll very quickly move on to the last thing that I wanted to share is COVID, right? COVID has given like everybody's mind is right now in COVID, right? Like last one and a half year, we have all been thinking about how this whole pandemic has changed the life for us, the work life for us, the home life for us, and everything. In Tech Mahindra also, we are working on some very, very interesting. In fact, there were 18 use cases that I got from my team when I asked for, okay, tell me some example of COVID-related AI use cases. And then I picked up this computer vision-based COVID-related use case that we are working on, which is for one of the customers. I cannot take the name of the customer. It's a Bay Area-based customer. And they are trying to build a computer vision based social distancing AI, like AI based system that will alert security teams, alert lobby teams, the teams that sit in our office lobbies, and the security teams monitoring the whole on-premise security when there is social distancing violation happening in the building, in and around the building actually. So this is, again, I won't be able to spend too much time specifically because I think I'm at the top of my 15-20 minutes, whatever we had agreed for. But again, it is there is a very specific field in AI computer vision based systems and platforms. We have partnered with one of the again Bay Area based computer vision based platform organization, and this particular program will take close to 9 months. There is millions of imaging and data that is being fed. There are neural network being created, and obviously the camera-based edge video analytics and that kind of solution is being utilized basically to create alerts, create automated announcements in the lobby areas when people are violating social distancing norms. And another interesting use case that is that we are trying to build in this system is the crowding detection. So if there is a set of area where only 5 people should be there as per the social distancing norm, and if there are suddenly 20 people there, the system will actually alert and say that crowding norms are being violated in this particular segment. So just wanted to share that there are interesting areas driven by COVID where organizations are taking it very seriously. Some of and in fact this customer that we are working on, working with, they want to utilize this use case first to implement internally, but then they want to monetize on it because now everybody knows that going forward, even if we come out of this whole situation and positively we will, in future there can again be any time these kind of situations which will which can cause heavy requirement of these type of systems. So they definitely want to build it for themselves and monetize at some point by providing it as a platform. So with that, I will just close this presentation and over to you, Kader.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Top notch. Thank you. Just a minute. Let me get this quickly set up. Okay. All right. Can you all see my screen, Farzan?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I have some trouble here. Okay, good. All right. So again, top notch. Thanks a lot, Anjali, for many things, right? Many things. Again, on interest of time, I'm not going to say many things, but many of the people do not know Anjali is also one of the board of director of Testoper community. And one of the value that we have in Testoper community is to build a diverse and inclusive organization. That the volunteer team that we have, the board that we have, the strategic advisors and officers, whatever the nonprofit terms that we have, we make sure that we build it that aligns to the diverse and inclusive community that we serve to enable the future skills and innovation. Thanks a lot, Anjali, for supporting us in many different ways. I need another 15 minutes to really list down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all help that you have done, but thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kader, for the opportunity. I'm really glad to be associated with this community, and yeah, let's move on, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you. And I will there are some questions for you, Anjali, but I'm going to hold it on towards the end for the panel question.
Sure.
So, all right. So now let me introduce and also welcome Mr. Mansoor Khan, President and CEO of Wavelabs Inc., the AI first technology company for digital, cognitive, and Industry 4.0 era. And I also have, have to do this, right, on behalf of Testoper and all the industry experts volunteer for this community. I like to really thank Wavelabs for providing $825 gift card to the winners of the raffle who completes the survey today. And we will explain what that survey is all about towards the end. Now his topic is going to be AI is must, but what else? Mansoor, floor is all yours.
Thank you, Kader. Let me start sharing my slide, and I'll start. Just 1 second. So again, Kader and the whole Testoper team, thanks so much for having me here. When Kader first proposed this topic to me, we're talking about AI, connected industries, and automation, and all these three are distinct topics which demand their own events. And how do you combine all these into one event was an audacious task. And then he showed me the list of speakers and panelists here. And I thought to myself, what will I be able to cover after all these people cover the topics that they're going to cover? So I have to say I have a tough act to follow. All of you, Anjali, Maureen, and Abhishek, the spread that you've covered is exhaustive. The use cases that you've covered are very, very innovative. And I know I have a tough act to follow. But what I'll try and do is I had to take an easier route out, and I said, okay, AI will be covered for the most part. Can we see the stage for stage things beyond AI as well? And that's why I chose the topic AI is a must, but what else? So what I'm hoping to do in this next 10, 15 minutes or so is that the audience who's on the call give you kind of reaffirmation of the topics that you've heard from all the previous speakers, and then talk about beyond AI, what is there, and hope that'll lay the foundation for the next set of events and conferences that Testapur will hold. So that I just want to provide that background. About myself, very, very briefly, I spent the first 14 years of my career across Hughes, which went on to become Flextronics, went on to become Arisent, eventually Capgemini. During those 14 years, I helped many companies build products as a services organization. I think one of the things that I love about being services is that if you're part of a product company, you probably would have built 2, 3, 4 products in the course of your career. Being a services organization, you can really build many different products and platforms for many different industries. So I've enjoyed that pleasure. After spending those 14 years with Arisent, Altran, I decided to do a startup in the digital transformation services space. So we took a company from 0 to about 200 people, mostly doing digital transformation enablement. And at Wave Labs, we decided to take an AI-first approach to a technology services company. And hopefully, we'll cover some of that journey and some of the learnings that I have been through during these 20 years or so, and some of the slides that I follow. Khadir, can you hear me well? Can you see me as well? Just want to make sure.
Yes, we can hear you and see your slides.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so I'll start with this, right? When we first decided to take an approach, a journey of an AI-first technology company, we tried to look at how is AI evolving, right? And we tried to put together the slide is where AI is today and how it will evolve. So if you look at the things that you commonly heard is machine learning, chatbots, neural networks, NLP, deep learning. But as you see, those are what are getting adopted today. And as you see the arrow traverse journey, there's a long way to go in terms of where all AI will be adopted, embraced in different industries, all the way to thought-controlled gaming. And if you talk to kids of our generation, they are so much into gaming that you'll realize that the future of gaming is thought-controlled gaming. So it suffices to say that we are barely touching the surface of what AI can do. And as rightly pointed out, I don't remember where I read about the 2020 to 2030 is the decade of AI. And all I want to tell the audience here is that you may have heard about AI a lot, are we too late to get into AI? I just want to tell you that we barely started. There's humongous scope, potential, and things to get into. This whole decade is the decade of AI. Moving on, some of the statistics that the previous presenters presented, but I'll just talk about AI specifically in the industries because the topic is relevant there. And suffice to say that about $3.7 trillion AI will contribute to manufacturing industry by 2035. Again, a lot of discussion has happened on that, so I'll quickly move on from here. But just some statistics for you to embrace and absorb. From here, I'll try and talk about, we heard of IoT in the context of Internet of Things. It became requested as Internet of Things. Then IoT, you heard of IoT, talked about Industrial Internet of Things, and it became Industrial Intelligent of Things. The new norm that you keep hearing is AI IoT, so AI Internet of Things and AI Industrial Internet of Things. And basically, if you look at what comprises this notion is the area of AI connectivity, and that the previous speakers talked about connectivity as a key element. So for AI to play its part, you need a backbone of very efficient, ever connected, and high-speed networks. And 5G is going to play a catalyst role, and is probably the backbone of AI. And of course, without data, big data, there is no AI. I took this note from the World Economic Forum, where all these three will come together to form what we call AIoT. And if you just touch upon where all it will get proliferated is again right from wearables to smart homes to smart cities and smart industries. So again, a lot of talk has already happened in each of these areas, but please use this as a summary of whatever we've discussed so far. But you will see AI and AIoT proliferation in each of these industries, and you'll be using this. You probably are already using this, but just a reaffirmation of all that you've heard this morning. From here, I'll touch upon how some of the topics that came about: interface computing, voice AI, and vision AI, and how they are evolving from current to the future. Again, it's a illustration I took from World Economic Forum to kind of summarizes what I have seeing as practical elements in the industry, where we'll move to voice analytics on the edge, NLP, e-payment, voice authentication, autonomous vehicles, and home robots as well. So that's the evolution that I see in terms of AIoT. And it's just not about technology, robotics, AI on the edge, but if you look at the whole notion of RPA, where process automation happens, and RPA has gone through its own evolution right from the Excel macro days to introducing AI in RPA. But the real feature of RPA is IAP, Intelligent Process Automation, where it will have its own role to play in intelligent enterprises. So you have to make sure that your machines, your robots are evolving, but your processes are also evolving. And there's a huge role for RPA and IPA in the process automation as well. So those are the things that we see day in, day out at Wave Labs, and we'll talk about some of the use cases that you're solving across those few paradigms that you've heard and seen from various speakers so far. So essentially, if you were to summarize the impact and the benefits of AI in connected industries and automation, the net impact will be you'll be discovering more insights from data and AI, improve services and products through computer vision, data-driven learning, safer robot collaboration. So there are numerous benefits that AI will have in industries, and the outcome of that will be more direct automation, more productivity, safety, lower operation costs, greater efficiency and quality control, and rapid decision making. So if there was a summary slide that you would like to take on from all the stuff that you've been hearing here, how is it going to impact, and what are the benefits that you can derive out of AI in the connected industries and automation? I thought it's a good way to summarize a lot of that. So we also heard a lot about Industry 4.0, and I'd like to put that into perspective. When people talk about fourth industrial revolution, which is also second information revolution, we talk about the first being steam-based, second being electricity, mass production-based, third being computer information technology-based. And the fourth information revolution, what people call Industry 4.0, it's just not about AI. AI is going to be heart and core, the central theme of it. But there are numerous technologies that I've listed here that will come together to transform every industry. And that notion is what people call Industry 4.0, Business 4.0, where a confluence and convergence of new technologies will transform every industry. And that's the evolution that we have to embrace. So at Wave Labs, we try to embrace that through a concept of customer journey. We talk about how, when we talk about customers, they are going through various journeys of sorts. There are companies that are still trying to understand digital transformation and its impact, and there are companies who are trying to adopt AI, and there are companies who are trying to reposition themselves for Industry 4.0. And we try to bring these distinct practices and capabilities across each of these journeys that customers go through to be able to help them embrace transformations in a more agile, nimble way. One of the speakers talked about design thinking as an approach. We embrace that very dearly at Wave Labs. So we're not trying to solve blue ocean problems on day one. We're trying to take problems that have a definitive outcome, a definitive use case, and a definitive journey for the customer, and trying to solve those journeys. Abhishek talked about taking a POC approach to AI, solving AI challenges. And we do that a lot with innovation teams across various organizations to take a use case that is solvable and a tangible outcome for our customers and the customers' customers before we take on larger challenges, right? So that's why the notion of we being an AI first technology company for digital cognitive industry 4.0 era come from, because we run these three as distinct practices, and we try to bring that practice that is applicable to that customer given on where their journey is, because the big boys are already at the fag end of this journey, but from time to time you'll see organizations that are not as technical trying to evolve this journey in a rapid, agile, nimble way, and we're trying to help address this divide. We're helping small organizations also embrace technologies faster, more efficiently, in a more economical way. So based on the learnings that we've done with various customers, what we've built is a solution accelerator called Wave Labs Insight. Because many times we talk about AI, people talk about training models, but unless you look at data processing, AI training, and AI serving all collectively, it's very hard to derive an ROI on AI initiatives. So we've taken the learnings that we've derived out of dozen odd customer engagements and try to build a framework where we make a journey of AI more exhaustive, and we try to implement this use case across predictive maintenance, intelligent enterprise, intelligent healthcare, industry 4.0. So just talking about that. From here, I'd like to quickly switch on, where is the future that we are trying to drive towards? So if you see that journey, eventually we want to have an industry 4.0 practice that combines all these technologies together, will transform every industry, but AI will be the heart and center of it. And what I'll quickly do in the interest of time is spend a little bit time on the various use cases that we're solving across each of these use cases, so that you realize that this is not a futuristic vision. It is not something that's going to happen in the future, but it is happening today. Not just with the big companies like you heard from before, Microsoft, PwC, Tech Mahindra, but even in a smaller organization like Wave Labs, we're about 300 people. We are solving these challenges day in, day out, and should give you comfort that this is just not a space for the big boys. Startups, small companies, mid-sized companies, all can embrace this evolution and still be drive tangible business outcomes for themselves and their customers. So one of the cases that we're solving is with a large drug manufacturing company, where we have taken 25 years of their data across percentage yield and tried to predict a yield for the future drug manufacturing process. And the journey that we took to them was the entire journey of data engineering, data cleansing, model building, validation, and visualization. The Insight framework that we talked about came very handy in traversing this journey for this customer. And the use case that we're solving is in the robotic space, where they're trying to build a multi-purpose robot that can serve the needs of hospitals and disinfecting hospitals, disinfecting hotel rooms, facial recognition, mask recognition, and also retail. That's another use case that we're solving for a startup in this space. And that, again, we apply many deep learning models of object detection, depth information, visual relationship detection as well. Here's another use case that we're solving for in the agri-tech space, where we're helping a company build a robot. That's the alpha version of it, where it can monitor plant beds in indoor farm and vertical farm. Again, it's a very exciting project. We're working with an indoor farm in Half Moon Bay, where we build this robot for them for monitoring their indoor farm. Monitor color, growth, temperature, humidity, and make sure the plant beds are growing as per the anticipated results. And this is something that we're extremely proud of and very relevant, where gun threat and detection has been a huge problem in the Americas. And we help this company build these bollards that can go across the perimeter of a building that can direct, conceal, and open carry weapons. It's a cause that I feel dearly from Wave Labs perspective, that we're trying to solve these creative challenges, where using various AI, Wi-Fi techniques, we're trying to detect, conceal, and open carry weapons and stop the threat before the threat enters the building. Again, very creative, very innovative use cases that we're helping solve. And not to mention the areas that Anjali touched upon in terms of detecting COVID, cancer, using medical imaging. what I like to, and extending that to AR, VR as well. So what I like to do is that I was moderating another conference like this about a year back in an event called BitSync, where I try to have leadership across all these areas come and talk about Industry 4.0. And I'd like to ask a question in interest of which area do you think was the most well received? And you'll be surprised that it's not all the things that you've heard in this event so far. There was an executive from HP that talked about how they are actually using this to do something very unique. And the use cases they presented were about using 3D printing to print custom shoes. So this executive had a unique problem where his one shoe size was 8, another shoe size was 9, and how 3D printing is solving some of the problems. And what will be surprised is that he ended his note on saying that we're trying to solve the same problem for high heel women shoes. And he was flooded with women all over at the end of the conference wanting to be part of the pilot program, because it looks like this is a soft area where women feel for the cause of using all the technologies that you see in Industry 4.0 coming together and solving as simple use case of having the right shoes with high heels. So that was a very fun moment that we took back, and he became very popular after that. So I thought I'll present that in a fun way. And that's it from my side. I think what I was trying to do in these 10 minutes that were given to me was kind of reaffirm what you've been hearing from various panelists this morning, and give you the reaffirmation that this is just not a game for the big boys. Small companies in our own way are solving these innovative use cases using agile methodologies and nimble and ecosystem approach to solving problems. I think with that, I'd like to conclude. Like to open it up for questions and be part of the panel as well, help you answer some of the questions in terms of what we're solving today for various customers.
Thank you, Manzoor.